Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 3rd and 20 Dynasty Podcast. It's JT, joined by the usual crew of Frank, Jake, and Lounis. We got all four back again. Kind of a rare sight to see recently, but we are all here just in time for nothing really going on. There's not a whole lot in terms of news and notes.
Yet there's a lot going on at the same time.
Yeah. Just going to kick us off with some quick news and notes. It's literally just Eric Bienemy to Washington. I don't know. There's been a lot about Bienemy. We talked about him last week about how he didn't get a coaching job. The talking heads on like ESPN and Fox Sports and whatever like to point out that he wasn't really the one calling the plays for in the city. It was Andy Reid. So they don't really know what to think about Eric Bienemy. So I think, this is probably just more him trying to prove himself than anything. It does make it interesting though, because now we have anyone that's trying to drum up engagement saying, oh, Logan Thomas in the Travis Kelce role. Oh, Terry McLaurin in the Tyreek Hill role. Oh, Sam Howell in the Patrick Mahomes role. It's just it's the trendy thing to say right now. But
I don't think anyone's saying Sam Howell in the Patrick Mahomes role.
It was obviously a joke, but people have been making that kind of stuff. What I was going to go with this, though, guys, is does this actually have you any kind of confident in this Washington offense, like going forward? Like they have pieces. They didn't really do a whole lot.
It doesn't change. It just doesn't change anything for me. If you like Terry McLaurin before, you're going to like Terry McLaurin now. If you like Brian Robinson or Logan Thomas before, you're still going to like those guys. To me, it's like, cool, they have a competent offensive coordinator, but it's not moving the needle one way or another to me.
But what if I disliked like Brian Robinson, for example, or Jahan Dotson? Like, do you think that has any kind of positive?
No, I mean, listen, because this offense is not going to look like the Kansas City Chiefs. They don't have a Travis Kelce. They don't have a Patrick Mahomes. They don't have a Tyreek Hill. This offense is going to have to be a new creation from Bienemy here. So I'm not saying it's going to really change much until I see it happen.
I think I think this does make a big difference. And here's why. Is that I feel like in the beginning of the season last year, and what Washington has been trying to do, just desperately just failing at it entirely, is being a passing team, developing into like a modern team. It just always doesn't work because their quarterback is trash. And then like at the end of last year, they kind of resort to being a two-headed, we're going to run the ball down your throat, kind of just have these long sustained drives with Taylor Heineke making a handful of plays, which just kind of leads you to being slightly below league average, if not a decently below league average in pass attempts. With Bienemy now here and then potentially getting a quarterback, or Bienemy trying to install potentially a pass first attack that could just increase the total volume of targets, which is important for guys like these receivers, mainly because they do have talented receivers. Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Jahan Dotson, when they are healthy and playing, have all put up decent numbers. So I think that the Bienemy hire, to see them potentially develop an actual passing attack where they could potentially be top 12, top 13 in pass attempts, that to me gets me excited because I feel like the prices these receivers are at are pretty darn favorable for the most part.
I agree. Yeah, the point I was going to say, what Jake was saying, like they don't have like a Tyreek. Yeah, no, but like they have three good receivers. I mean, McLaurin's obviously the higher.
Oh, I wasn't taking away anything from their receiving core. I actually really, really like their receiving core. But the thing is, like that, those receivers don't translate to that Kansas City offense.
No.
So it's going to have to be something new. And, Joey Bear is in chat saying he's never called plays before because Andy Reid's calling the plays the whole time. That's yes, but at the same time, he's a big part of the install of the offense. So I'm not really that concerned about it. But I don't think the offensive coordinator here is going to change the talent level or the production level of this team here.
I mean, also with the not calling, but Doug Peterson was the exact same position. He was the OC, he didn't call plays.
Yeah.
And he's turned out, I think, to be a really good offensive coach. I was going to say the last comment, I would be significantly more intrigued if they draft a quarterback first round.
Sure, but I don't think they're in any position to do so.
So just to reiterate my point, though, really quickly on the pass attempts, I do have the numbers in front of me just to ensure what I was saying, because I was just kind of going off what I was seeing last year. Washington averaged 32.6 pass attempts per game, which is 20th in the league. But in their last three, like kind of going down the stretch, I felt like 27 pass attempts per game, which would have been 5th least in the league, below Baltimore. So, like,
If
that's
you're
what I'm
throwing
saying.
less than Baltimore, there's a problem.
Like, at least getting, because some of their receivers, like Dotson, Curtis Samuel especially, was actually producing in the beginning of the part of the season, but then was very inconsistent towards the end. Maybe that's the biggest impact as a guy like him as that third option, where if they can go back to basically league average pass attempts, he once again becomes a viable flex start for you that you can pick up. I'm not even sure you need a second round pick to pick him up. Maybe if it's one of like the very, very end ones. But if you have a mid-second in 24, a mid-second this year, you can get Curtis Samuel plus for that, most likely.
Well, I'm thinking, would any of you trade a 2024 second for Sam Howell?
For Sam Howell?
No.
No.
That's what he's ranked right now on Keep Trade Cut.
What?
And I am debating.
I don't know if you're about to agree with what I'm going to say or say the exact opposite.
Sell
but I
him?
was going to
Is
say
that
this
the
is
answer?
the time to sell.
Yeah, look, I'll say it's pretty high for Sam Howell considering he hasn't really done anything for the Commanders. I mean, if I remember correctly, he only started the last game for them, right? Which is kind of just it didn't matter game. Even the Cowboys, which it did kind of matter for the Cowboys, they didn't really try.
It didn't matter for the Cowboys. So, but that was just the Cowboys like fucking up.
Yeah. So we don't have a whole lot to base on Sam Howell yet. The price of a second round pick for this quarterback, I think the ticket expense is just way too high. The lottery ticket on Sam Howell, like it's kind of baked in that he's going to be good, or at least like he's going to be the starter for the
starter
for the entire.
Which I mean, Derek Carr exists, Jimmy G, Baker Mayfield. There are all these other guys that they could like bring in that might just challenge Sam Howell and make Sam Howell not the starter. Had it been a third round pick, I probably would have pulled the trigger and been in on Sam Howell. But like I'm looking at him now, and he's at the price of like pick 209. He's around Aaron Rodgers, he's around Wan'Dale Robinson, and to me, I don't know.
Wan'Dale or Sam Howell? I'd easily take Wan'Dale.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, I would sell Sam Howell for an early third and be pretty happy about it.
Howell was severely underdrafted, in my opinion. I agree, Joe. I agree. I mean, I thought he was like one of my top quarterbacks coming out. I had him above Malik Willis. I'm trying to remember who else. I had him above Desmond Ridder too. And he got drafted behind both those guys. And he got drafted behind Bailey Zappi, I'm pretty sure too, which I'm way above Bailey Zappi. But at that price, yeah, Frank, I don't know. An early third, I think I might enter the Sam Howell lottery.
The problem for me is that what is the sign that Sam Howell is a starting quarterback? Because to me, it's not even like, okay, Washington's going to be in the sweepstakes for one of the free agent guys. If they land one of them, instantly Sam Howell's done. Now, let's drop that scenario. What if they just even bring Heineke back?
I don't think they're going to bring Heineke
I mean, I think Heineke gets the nod. If they bring in a guy like Jameis, my money's going to be on Jameis. If they bring in basically anyone, I just am not super confident in Sam Howell on top of potentially a draft pick. And then on top, Sam Howell has to actually be good because he's more expensive than a guy like Ryan Tannehill. He's more expensive than other starting quarterbacks in the league that you can just... I don't know. I just don't think there's just too many scenarios that need to pan out successfully for me to invest in. And not even that. I would just be hard selling right now. I'd be mass offering the shit out of Sam Howell.
Same.
That's where you're getting me.
Yeah.
The Tannehill stuff and everything. Like, he's not worth more than that. I think he was someone I really liked. I was super high on. I still kind of like, but the price that he's at, something's not adding up to me. I don't know.
No.
All right, but that's enough Washington Commanders talk for maybe the whole off season. Anyway, sticking with the NFC East, though, we do have the Giants. They're the other big kind of news. Daniel Jones potentially getting paid. Saquon Barkley potentially getting paid. We're not really sure what they're going to do yet. I've been seeing a lot of opinions on Daniel Jones where it's like every quarterback signing has basically been setting the new market, and they kind of need Daniel Jones to set like the "you're not that good, but we want you" kind of market. I don't know. Personally, to me, like,
what makes it complicated is I think the right move is to franchise tag him, but then that takes it off the table for Saquon.
The problem also with the franchise tag is if you use the franchise tag on a guy, 100% of the salary is counted against the cap. So that means the Giants would take a $32.5 million or whatever the quarterback, franchise tag straight to the cap, which also means that they don't have enough money to sign Saquon probably.
Yeah.
Or they could sign Saquon and then that's it. Their off season's over. They have like $3 million in cap space before the draft, which means they're screwed.
And I was just gonna say one of the biggest things for me, with Daniel Jones, with like him asking for that much money, should the Giants pay? Like, listen, why? Who are they bidding against?
Listen,
who's giving him 45?
If you're Daniel Jones, what's the harm? You go, okay, I want $45 million. Joe Shane turns around and goes, no. Okay, how about this? That's how a negotiation starts. And of course, Daniel Jones' camp is going to leak a gigantic number because that's what he wants. And
I just think go ahead.
Everyone wants to inflate their number as high as possible. And that's just, he's a quarterback coming off the best season of his career. Like, yeah, I got it. But he's got to set the market appropriately here, right? So he's got to be paid roughly as the 12th quarterback in the league, something like that, I think is an appropriate number for him. And that's going to put him immediately at about $30 million. So like, I could see a contract along the lines of 4 years, $120 million and walk away. Even if you bump that number to 35 and he's a top 10 paid quarterback, doesn't matter. You're still going to get the Burrow extension. You're still going to get the Lamar extension, and that's going to immediately drop back down. So if you pay him to be the 10th best, then in a year from now, he's going to be the 15th highest paid quarterback, which is pretty accurate.
But here's my question from now putting us into the dynasty scope here. Daniel Jones, right?
Yeah.
It seems more likely that the Giants are going to sign Daniel Jones than not. And that might mean Saquon leaving. Like, not definite, but it's looking like Saquon would be harder to sign.
Well, the thing is, though, if they sign Daniel Jones, then they could tag Saquon. That's the trade-off here, because the running back tag is only $10 million. So you can tag Saquon at that number and not hate it. So, but that's the trade-off here, is if you give Daniel Jones the big number and you can defer some of it to a signing bonus, play funky cap games here, and then you could give Saquon the $10 million franchise tag that goes directly against the cap, and you still have plenty of play with the Giants' $54 million in cap space this offseason. So they have to sign Daniel Jones one way or another to a long-term deal, and then they could do whatever they have to do to Saquon. At the end of the day, think both of these guys are New York Giants come the opening day next year. I don't think it's really a question, to be honest with you.
So my question, though, from Dynasty, Daniel Jones is currently quarterback 13 on Keep Trade Cut. And it's just like,
see you.
There's questions. Yeah, there's questions about if Saquon's even going to be there. The best free agent wide receiver signing that you could get is like Juju or Jacoby Myers. Like, depends on what you think. But
I mean, they could trade for DeAndre.
You want to know what's fantastic about this scenario this offseason with Daniel Jones? Mm-hmm. Is that you could sell him for a first-round pick right now. I've seen it happen in multiple leagues. You could sell him for a first-round pick.
You can.
And then, so let's say we trade him for a 24 first to a team that needs a quarterback. Barring that team is not like the dominant super team in your league, that pick becomes 109. I feel like then you could, if you don't like your decision, most likely you could just trade 109 back for Daniel Jones next year.
Oh, I think this is the highest we're ever going to see Daniel Jones. Quarterback 13.
But I don't know. I mean,
who are you putting Daniel Jones over?
I have to pull up.
I just think it's a simple question. Is Daniel Jones just going to be this mega point scorer, this guy that's going to be really like making a difference on my fantasy team. And in that valuation, like, okay, I need to be like investing in Daniel Jones everywhere territory. No, he's not. He's a meddler. I mean, maybe he's good. Maybe he's good. And like, I can understand holding him. Like, I have nothing against just holding Daniel Jones. I'm just going to, kind of like I said last episode, I'm going to sell and I'm going to invest in a Ryan Tannehill and another, I'll wait until the season starts and invest in another guy that has a starting job, or wait for an injury to happen and play it that way, than waste an opportunity, I think, to get myself in the game of, okay, I have my value at Daniel Jones with upside now, like more upside than Daniel Jones has. To me, is a playoff team potentially not making the playoffs with Daniel Jones, and I have their first round pick. I'd rather be in that game.
I'm instantly selling Daniel Jones for any first round pick. I mean, look, if the market's saying he's a little bit higher than that, sure, I'll shop him around a little and try and get him.
Okay, well, answer me this. Would you trade him for like super team first round pick / like the worst team in the league second round pick? So like a guaranteed 2.
No, not the second. If it looks like a first round pick, which I mean, I'm seeing a lot of too, and Keep Your Cut even says he's in like the 109 territory.
Yeah.
I'm going to move him for a first round pick. If worse comes to worse, I'll just do the mass offer strat. I'll pick up a 2025 first. I'm getting this first though for Daniel Jones. I'm not going to regret it for a second. I'm never going to be like, oh, he's going to be worth way more than that. He's just not. He's just not.
The one thing I'll ask, do you think it's the smart strategy if you want to sell right now, or do you think he has a chance in value to go up
fucking now,
a little bit more this like off season? Like say like the Giants do give him, no, obviously not.
Let him get the big extension.
Like, let's say they give him something similar to what Jake suggested.
Let the Giants.
All right, but he gets the big extension. Who's he
sign Saquon, get a number 1 wide receiver. Second year under Daboll, his value is going to go up.
That's the only thing I'm thinking. I could see it being higher later in the offseason.
No, and he doesn't. The thing is, JT, he doesn't have to jump those guys for his value to go up. Like,
but he's literally right next to Tua. He's like 48, 27. He's 42 ranked. Tua's 40. He's 44th ranked. Tua's 42nd ranked. Like, they're right next to each other.
I like Daniel Jones. I like Daniel Jones coming out of the draft. I'm just more scared of this scenario being like Baker with the Browns a couple years ago than I think Daniel Jones is a world beater. I just think, like, if we're looking at the range of outcomes, the Baker scenario, oh, we made it to the playoffs, everything's looking up, we're going to pick up the receiver, we're going to do this, we get this, like, it's all sunshine and fucking roses. It's all sunshine and roses. And that's what it reminds me of. And if I can get the first round pick now, and then I can turn around and invest my second in Kirk Cousins, I still have the points that Daniel Jones is probably going to produce, and I have the first round pick from a potential overhyped player. Win-win scenario.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with trading Daniel Jones this offseason. I'm just saying I think his value is going to go up from between now and the start of the season.
Oh, that's just such a risky game. That's just such a ballsy game. That's such a Lounis move. That's like, Lounis, you love that shit.
It makes sense. I mean, if they franchise tag him, then there's a decent chance they lose Saquon. That's why I think they're really going to try to get this extension done. Oh, we lost JT.
See you, JT.
You got scared of the dog.
All right, well, let's get into the 2023 picks versus veteran players. So I just wanted to start this off by saying, the draft class this year is pretty darn good. Hold on, let me add JT back while I'm doing my spiel. Yeah, the draft class this year is pretty darn good. I don't know why we were seeing in the beginning of the offseason these people being like, oh, well, the 2023 class, it was overhyped, like this, that, the other. I don't know. I'm kind of liking the guys in the draft class this year. And I mapped it out. And I think up until about pick 207, 208, you're going to probably be getting your hands on a pretty darn good player. At least a good prospect. Like, it's obviously not guaranteed or anything, but
yeah.
Right now, it's looking like it's almost a lock that for these tight ends, now that Musgrave dude is like insane, are going to be relevant.
That's the key thing. It's the fact that there are like these tight ends going like more early, and then there's a good chance I think that there ends up being 4 quarterbacks drafted in the first round.
See, I'm a little bit more skeptical on the quarterbacks, but nonetheless, like once we start talking about like second round picks, if Anthony Richardson goes in the second round, he's still going to be in the relevant, like he might not be going like 106, and 107 or whatnot, but he'll probably be going in the mid seconds. Like he might still be a relevant player. So I'm going to set this off by saying if I have pick 208 and under, I would be a little bit skeptical at taking that keep trade cut price as that value, right? Like I just think that 208 and under, pretty darn good prospects. Like to me, potentially early second round pick type value for a lot of those players. So with that being said, I think like 209 and beyond, like into these early third round picks is where I start to kind of get into this zone of, well, I can still trade because right now the draft picks, this is point number 2, are arguably their highest value. I think a lot of people would argue, and I might agree, that at the draft / right after the draft, the player value, the rookie pick / the rookies you took, the values are a little bit higher. But nonetheless, right now we are in a little bit of a zone where everyone has their guys that they like. The NFL draft hasn't happened yet. The combine hasn't happened yet. So every single player has people behind them saying, this guy's going to be beast, right? Yeah. There's an argument for that for every single player. And then as we get through the process, slowly, like we'll have guys rise, but we're also going to have some dudes completely fall the fuck off, which will impact the value, especially of these later picks. So now that that is said, and JT's in here.
Yeah.
Let's just start off by saying, do you think it's worth trading these 209 and early thirds, mid thirds for veteran players?
What kind of level of veteran player are we talking?
Okay, we can go into specifics then. Like, okay, so Ryan Tannehill to me is instantly a guy. I mean, we've mentioned him over the podcast. If his keep trade cut price is correct, he's less than a second round pick right now. We were talking the other day about how there's a pretty darn good chance that he's a starter for not only this year, but next year as well. Getting that for less than a second just kind of seems like a good deal.
Oh, if we're talking like the early thirds, I think it's a no-brainer for someone like Tannehill. I think this year was just kind of a weird year for Tennessee. He battled injuries. Treylon Burks, the thing that also sucked was Robert Woods. They signed him thinking he would be better than what he was. He still looked really washed. And Treylon Burks, towards the end of the season when he played, looked really good. It's just the problem was he missed so much time. I think the offseason for him will be huge, and I think Treylon will be a bigger factor next year and help Tannehill out a lot. I would even give up that pick, like you were saying, like a 210, 211 for Tannehill.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Let's just imagine we have 209, 210. I would probably give that up for Tannehill, and you can get an early fourth, if not a couple fourths, a late third even on top of the deal. Yeah, I just think that you're leaving a smidge of value on the table.
Yeah, obviously you can get more.
Or some back-end prospect-y type of player. Yeah, so Tannehill's a dude that I've definitely been looking at. Secondly, these guys I just feel like are relatively tried and true. But this year, Brandon Cooks is probably the first year you've been able to attain him for not only any just second-round pick straight up. I'm not even sure on keep trade cut he's
less than a second on keep trade cut.
Wow.
His value is quite literally dropped more than 50%.
Especially because I mean, we don't know for sure, but I'd say there's a very good chance that Houston's going to draft a quarterback and he'll be the number one receiver.
Or if he gets moved, basically any scenario. Yeah. I just think that he's not going to be this alpha number one amazing player, but he's only 29 years old. So there's a realistic chance you can get 2 years out of him at wide receiver 2 production. You can pick him up for this 209, potentially even get a smidge on top of your 209. And now you've just, as a contending team, you've just added a flex player or a wide receiver 3 to your roster. Doesn't matter what team he's on. He could stay with the Texans. He can move somewhere. It doesn't matter.
Yep. I mean, Brandon Cooks is a guy that's always been undervalued, and I think that's even worse this offseason for some reason. I don't know exactly why, but
so we're right now.
Go ahead.
Right now, we're sticking to late 2023 rookie picks, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm specifically sticking to late because I think that these 208 to like 201 picks, I'm just not sure you're going to get the accurate value right now without someone seriously shelling out some good players. And like I was taking keep trade cut. If they're giving you an overpay, then I might reconsider. But just at face value, I don't really like trading these picks for their player equivalents in a lot of scenarios.
I mean, need it in some situations because we look at keep trade cut. Now, listen, this is keep trade cut value. It might be harder, like when you're actually trying to make the trade to get the person to accept to it. But if you're looking on here, a 2023 mid-second, like if we're talking about veteran buys, is one spot ahead of Kamara right now. It's ahead of David Montgomery. Again, this is a 2023 mid-second, so let's just say 206, 205.
I mean, you could put in the picks now, Lounis.
Huh?
For reference, 209 is worth about 3,000 keep trade cut points, right? The players around 209 are like Jacoby Myers, Wan'Dale Robinson, Aaron Rodgers, Darnell Mooney, Sam Howell.
Juju,
those are the 209s. Juju. I don't. Other than Wan'Dale, I don't know if I'm giving up my 209 for any of those players.
The ones I just named.
The ones I just named. The ones that you named. That's more of the.
Let's say you have 206. Like Kamara.
I just don't think you're
Montgomery.
moving. I don't think that's true. I don't think you're getting Alvin Kamara for 206.
Okay, what about Ezekiel Elliott?
Zeke you can get for a.
He's closer to like 209. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I know. On keep trade cut, he's close to a late second. But I'm just saying,
I think the agreed upon Zeke price is going to be one of those like last pick in the second round ordeals.
Probably.
And would you do that, Joe?
I mean, it just depends on your context. I have Zeke where I'm a hard rebuilder. Like, hell yeah, I would do that deal. But
no, I'm saying you're trading away the pick for Zeke.
It would have to be.
Like, let's say you were a playoff team, you ended with pick like 208, 209.
I don't think so.
No, it would have to be like 212. I would have to won the chip, and I say like, all right, I'll take a guy that's probably still going to get 7 touchdowns and just, throw him in my flex every now and then, that kind of thing. But
yeah, Zeke might be worth just an early third. Then now I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah, I really think he's in that third range.
I think it's going to take a later second, and I don't hate the idea, especially. I mean, there's a decent chance like they franchise tag him and bring him back. Tony Pollard's going to be free agent.
Yeah, they're not letting Pollard go.
No, I think they're going to tag Pollard.
They could tag him, but they'd be investing a shit ton of money into running backs. Majority.
I mean,
well,
they're not
Zeke,
going to. No,
Zeke does
they're
a
not going to.
restructure and pay cut, and then the franchise tag is really not that bad for running backs this year. 10 mil, like it's kind of annoying, but it's not. That's not a huge deal.
No, it's not. I mean, more so, it's just it's not a huge deal when you're paying your starting running back 10 mil, which I mean, Tony Pollard pretty much was. But it becomes a huge deal when it's like you're paying him 10 mil and then you're already paying
they
someone
wouldn't
else
be
16.
doing both. The only way they bring Zeke back is if he takes a substantial pay cut. His cap hits 16 million. They're gonna cut him. Obviously, they're never gonna pay that. There's no chance. If a team pays that, they're
Can they get out
screwed.
clean this offseason?
I think
I think they're gonna take
if they restructure it.
I think they're going to take the strategy of he's going to do that restructure and the pay cut, but he's going to stick around as a little like Mark Ingram-esque player for another year or two on the Cowboys. Like I don't think it's just this year. I think it's going to be another year as well.
Yes, I agree with you. I don't think Zeke's going to go anywhere because if he doesn't take a pay cut to stay in Dallas and restructure that cap hit this offseason, he's going to be full on released. The Cowboys will take their $5 million in dead cap, and then Zeke's going to be stuck signing a vet minimum contract. That's what it's going to be.
Can I throw out one more veteran running back for you guys who has that value around the mid to slightly like in between the early mid-second range, and I want to hear what's the most you give up. Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I'd give whatever it is. not whatever, but like 209 probably I do.
I'm saying
He's
his
usually
range right
higher
now
than
is in
209.
between the mid to early second.
Yeah, you would have to give at least 206, if not higher. I think around like 205. So like 205 to me seems like a deal that would get done for Aaron Jones.
The issue I have is if that pick is Tank Bigsby, I'm going to take Tank
204,
Bigsby.
you gotta give up for Aaron Jones.
Yeah, 204.
All right.
If that pick's a rookie running back, I'm going to take the rookie running back. It's just
I just went through all the veterans rated around that mid to late second, more so looking at the late end of the second round.
Okay.
I think from a pure value perspective, just not considering your team, not considering like what you need or anything, you're better off just holding the second. There's so many players that I think are not going to gain value at all. I think the only players that I consider trading for, giving up that late second, and it's very team dependent, they're James Conner, Darren Waller. I don't think I do it for Juju, I guess. Juju.
Okay.
Um,
There's no way I'm
Wandale.
trading a mid-second for an injury-riddled 33-year-old tight end.
But
I think if you're a contender and you want to give up 209 or 210 for Darren Waller,
Sure, but if you're talking like Frank said,
30. Second off, he's been in the league not that long. It's not like he's got the wear and tear of most players at that age. Darren Waller, I think, is fine at that late second. But when we're talking about like these rookie picks versus the veterans, most of the time I think I'm just taking the rookie pick because I just have my upper band, my upper limit on that second round rookie pick is way higher, that even if I don't like the player that I'm taking that much on the board, I just think based on like training camp hype and preseason hype and everything, you're going to have like the Terrace Marshalls of the world who just boom up. We traded Justin Ross when he got signed to a team. We drafted him in like the fourth round, and it was fifth round, maybe.
Super Bowl champion Justin Ross.
Yeah.
That is true.
You just have the boom potential on those second round guys that you're not going to see on essentially all these guys. I mean, you could take the flyer on like Aaron Rodgers and be like, oh, he's back and he's got all these weapons or something. He ended up on a good team. But like even Jacoby Myers, right? Like if Jacoby Myers changes teams, it's not like he's going to get like a huge boom, right? Because even if he goes to like the craziest scenario and say he goes to Kansas City and Juju's gone and they just for whatever reason have picked up Jacoby Myers, well, everyone's just going to say, well, look what Juju just did for the team. Like he didn't put up that many points. Like Jacoby Myers isn't going to boom. Cole Kmet's not going to boom. Gabe Davis, everyone has turned haters against. Like there's
People
so few
seeing the truth.
Yeah, there's so few players that I think are going to have any big, value rise, that I'd rather just take these late second round picks and try and make magic out of them, because otherwise you're just kind of.
Well, my argument against, I think your argument works more for the thirds than the late seconds, because I think a lot of the times the guys that you can take in the third, because I went back through the drafts, they don't all hit.
Oh, of course.
Like 80% of them, if not more, do reach on keep trade cut values that you should, if mass offering, get a second round pick for. And
sure,
it worked like for these third rounds. But when I'm like the late second guys, I feel like there is this potential bridge between, okay, like the upside that you're talking about, because to me at that point, the upside you need is an early second. Right, like potentially like a mid-second, right, to go up from your late second, right? Trading a late second for a late second, you're not really making anything there.
True.
And I think that because it's still a second round pick, instead of picking up a value play, I can pick up points. I can sell my higher end dude and then fill in with my 209 to pick up my Lockett, who might even score more points than the guy I traded away. Or if I just need to fill up my roster, it is a little bit wonky because like, instead of going for Zeke, I might just take like Elijah Mitchell for cheaper or get more on top of my second round pick if I pick up Elijah Mitchell, right? Like do Elijah Mitchell and I get a third round pick somewhere for that second round pick. And now I have a glorified, I think he's going to get a similar amount of touches to Zeke with like if the main back gets hurt, I have an RB1
and it seems to who
or whatever you need, right? Whatever the fuck you can get for your second round pick, that's almost more of your prerogative.
The Elijah Mitchell point I think is interesting because so this is kind of, I guess, like a little bit off topic from like the trading veterans. I think what's an interesting topic is like what kind of picks are you willing to give up for like young guys or even rookies from last season? Like I'll throw like 2 random names, like Tyler Algier, Wan'Dale Robinson.
I mean, they're both probably firmly mid-seconds at this point.
But would you feel comfortable?
I think that you have to give.
Let's say Wan'Dale.
I think you have to give up at least a mid-second, right? Somewhere at 208 or before. And I'd rather just have the 208 than those players. I think that the prospect I'm getting there is better than what. Maybe not Wan'Dale.
Wan'Dale's close.
Definitely.
Wan'Dale's close.
Yeah.
Algier, I'd give up the. I mean, I would take the 209, 208, whatever it is, over Algier. Wan'Dale was a good prospect, and he was pretty good in the NFL. And just
I can see Wan'Dale. I can give you Wan'Dale, and he got targets when he was playing.
Yeah, Wan'Dale, I would definitely. He was someone I mentioned earlier.
I think a better question would be like, why would you give up like 206 for Wan'Dale? Because the Wan'Dale person who has Wan'Dale is probably gonna. I don't know if they're taking 208.
Yeah, 206. I don't. We should do another mock draft sometime soon with all these new updates. But I mean, just looking at the players that were available at 206, we didn't even draft Anthony Richardson, who I do not like. But,
that was insane.
Stand by it. We didn't draft him yet, and the players around 206 still look pretty good. I mean, we drafted a little over a month ago, and 206. I drafted
Keyshawn. Like fall like crazy too in that mock
I'll
draft.
tell you what, Curtis Samuel's someone that I'd want to pick up.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel, and another one that I just thought of is Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd always finds a way.
He's really intriguing, especially because
especially
about to get paid. I don't know if
also if
is going to be there.
Is going to be moved, and Tyler Boyd slides back into that number 2 role again. Which
how these wide receivers that we just mentioned, how they stack up to Parker Washington? Because that's roughly who you're talking about right there. That's who's going to get drafted around that.
I mean, the thing is though, like to get Tyler Boyd, you only have to give up really an early third. He's valued pretty much exact with 301. So you tell me if you have to give up 211 or whatever, maybe.
All right, it's a minuscule difference though.
Yeah, let's assume Parker Washington. This is a favorable scenario. Gets second round NFL draft capital.
That's favorable for Parker Washington.
Oh, if he gets,
we could assume third because it'll make my point better.
Third.
Parker Washington goes in the second round.
Okay, well, if he's third, I know from doing data analysis before, I know that the second round, any second round pick receiver, if you look at like their chances of having a singular top 24 season is like mid 30s%, give or take, like somewhere between 33 to like 38% chance, which is like decent.
It's lower than I thought it'd be. Because I was about to say, if Parker Washington goes second round, I think I'd take him over a lot of those vets we named. I just didn't see him going second round.
Let me just see what
more like a third round guy.
Now, that to me though, if we're taking Parker Washington, I don't think he gets early second round draft capital. Right? We're taking all second round picks. That includes the T. Higginses and the Michael Pittmans, who were like glorified firsts, going like 1 or 2 or 3 picks outside of the first round to teams that kind of needed a receiver desperately. Like you're throwing in those guys. So I'm going to say like for a late second, let's just go 30%, somewhere around there. Or I can just trade it straight up for a dude who his career points per game is at the line of what could be a top 24 season. Right? Like Brandon Cooks, I think is a pretty darn good shot of having a top 24 season next year. It's not guaranteed, but I think it's definitely way higher than whatever the guy I take. It's just obviously because he's a young player, the value scenario, you're not going to make any value investing in Brandon Cooks.
No,
so it's the debate. Sorry, Lounis, 1 second. It's the debate then of value versus points, I guess, in terms of am I going to take Brandon Cooks and put him on my roster for this year and just kind of assume that his value is going to go down because then he'll be a 30-year-old wide receiver. But I'll take the 13 points per game or whatever it is versus the Parker Washingtons of the world, the Raheem Jarrett's, whoever, these third-round picks who might honestly score me like 4 points this entire year, but could see big value increases in the preseason, for example. Like, oh, Parker Washington's out practicing with the ones. Boom. Like he's a mid-second, early second kind of pick. Like he's a 2025 second from a team that's historically not been very good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
or it could be a Claypool, right? You're just having a heater, right? You're just out there making plays and you're scoring, and all of a sudden you like that's the ideal scenario is that the rookie you take is a player that you can start. And now not only are they putting up the points that you need, now they're worth probably a first round pick.
So to me, I think from a game theory, from a value lens, whatever you want to throw at this, right? I think the best and most ideal strategy is drafting that player with the second round pick and just trading other guys that are currently on your team for that undervalued guy, like a Brandon Cooks. So like maybe you have, for example, Frank, you're saying Elijah Mitchell. I'm pretty sure Elijah Mitchell and Brandon Cooks are rated very similar. I don't really like Elijah Mitchell. I would trade Elijah Mitchell for Brandon Cooks straight up. Yeah, wait. Elijah Mitchell is 2,700. Brandon Cooks is 2,400. So Brandon Cooks is less than Elijah Mitchell. Theoretically, this trade gets done more likely than not.
Yeah.
I'm going to move Elijah Mitchell for Brandon Cooks. I just think he's going to get you more points. I think Elijah Mitchell's value is very held on Christian McCaffrey getting injured. I'm making that move every time. I'm just going to look and try and find those veterans on my team that I don't really like see their path to success. And I'm just going to go that way. I'll package them together. I'll do X, Y, and Z. Maybe I put in a pick swap, right? But I just think that's the better route in terms of making your team better while also preserving the value of like, you're not just giving up your pick for a player that's just going to depreciate. Like they're just going to go down.
Yeah.
Here on out. That's what I've tried to be better with, but sometimes impatience and everything like really gets in the way. But I try and hold on to my picks now more and not just do straight up picks for players in making that kind of trade.
No, you don't necessarily have to. I think Brandon Cooks was an example just because I feel like I like, okay, let's just say like he gives you one season of 12.5 points per game and another season of 10.5 points per game. For 209, I think that's about, I mean, it wouldn't even be 209, right? Because in that scenario, I was getting like a fourth or something on top of 209. Let's say it's like 211, 212.
Okay.
I think that's worth that. Because the hit rate of 212 is just not great. Maybe this year it's a smidge better, but it's just not great. So I
no,
think
like in
I
that situation, I'm taking Brandon Cooks. I'm more interested in those veterans, or like I'm more intrigued to see like how the value difference is those veterans that it'll take a little bit more. It'll take more into the second round to do it, and how you play that. Like for example, like a DeAndre Hopkins. Like,
yeah, you just have to give up more. Simply, I wanted to go in the direction of like going lower,
low second, okay,
or just going lower in age, right? I guess getting a little bit riskier with the points. Because I think that guys like Hunter Renfrow, Michael Gallup, Curtis Samuel, Tyler Boyd, these are all players who are like can easily have 3 or 4 seasons in the league. It's just their points are not guaranteed like a guy like Brandon Cooks. Like,
I think Tyler Boyd is one of those guys that he's put up numbers his whole career.
I guess Zay Jones you can even throw in there.
Shout out Joey Bear though, because he did mention one of the guys that I can't believe I haven't mentioned yet, and that is Kareem Hunt in this whole scenario. I do think he's a guy to go out and snag for one of these late second round picks, early third round picks. A free agent, I think he's going to sign somewhere, just make impact as he usually does. As long as he's healthy and on the field, he always makes plays. So I'm a guy. I'd go in on Kareem Hunt for that late second, early third.
So going back real quick to what Frank was saying, though, I just think like those players to me, they kind of feel like a dime a dozen, where it's like I can always find the next Tyler Boyd, the next Michael Gallup, the next guy who's just going to give me like 10 points a game, and it's not going to be that hard to replace. Like, they're just a step above roster clogger to me. That might be a little harsh, but like
he's a flex play. He's a clear flex play. They're
close to roster cloggers.
So
they're close to like 10 points. It's not exciting. It's
you
not
have to accept the fact that when you're trading for these guys, it's going to look like at face value you're losing the trade. You know, because like especially in this scenario, if we're trading a second round pick into these players, you're trading your second, and the whatever you're getting on top is like, it looks like trash. You know, it might be like 2 fourths. It might be like a late third. It might be some random upside play, right? Whatever. But you have to have reasonable suspicion that either they're going to maintain their career points per game, if that's what you're looking at, or you just think that they have enough upside to where it's just fucking worth it, right? So, like, I don't know. I think a guy like Hunter Renfrow is a dude that realistically, if I were to put in a vacuum what I think he should be worth, it is like a 211 or a 212. Even though, like, the market price deems less than that. If I only have 209 on my draft and I want to get into Renfrow, the trade's not going to look sexy.
No. This is not an easy way to do it.
So, like, yeah, maybe the play is to use other assets, but I don't know. It's still,
Yeah, I just don't like giving up my shiny new toy that everyone is at least somewhat interested in for a player that's already been established and is not going to offer you a whole lot.
Yeah, honestly, like the more I think, I like going more the Brandon Cooks route. I'd rather just trade my second for points.
Henkin's talking shit in the chat. That's hilarious.
Like if I can get my Tyler Lockett, if I can get my Brandon Cooks, I am just getting what I think is almost guaranteed good points. And I'd rather do it at probably the receiver position or the quarterback position or even the tight end position than I would at running back. I feel like running back, I'm always going to err on the side of age because
you have to. You just have to. It's the nature.
Bro,
of the
there's some
position.
cliffs out there, man. There's some cliffs. Like,
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm wary about trading for a Kareem Hunt.
Also, like right now is a really volatile time to trade for running backs. I'm seeing like everyone pound the table for random ass running backs. Like, dude, this is not the time to be buying the Rashad Whites of the world. At least in my opinion, I could be terribly wrong, right?
Not.
Like,
it's
they
not
could easily become what's it called on the Patriots?
Jonas Gray.
Ramondre Stevenson's. You know, and like become top 50 assets. I'm just not playing that fucking game, especially with the running back class of this season.
It's scary to trade for running backs right now. One, because of the amount of starting running backs from last season who are currently free agents. Like you have like Kareem Hunt. Well, he wasn't like the starter, but like could be a starter somewhere. Like Sanders, Josh Jacobs, Saquon, etc. Tony Pollard, and then you have a good running back draft class. So unless like you're like spending top dollar for like one of those top 10 guys, it's like it's scary to trade for those guys that'll like maybe like an RB 16 or 17.
The thing
I'm
is,
gonna
though,
call
we
it the
like
speculation tier.
The speculation tier. Yeah.
We looked at it the other week. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but there's not many running backs that I would really feel comfortable in trading for outside of Breece Hall,
of
Jonathan.
Like those top 10 guys, yeah.
Not even like
guys.
What do I feel comfortable?
I got to pull it up again.
I don't personally feel comfortable trading for Travis Etienne. I might be on the minority of that one, but like I don't want to trade for Travis Etienne. I don't want to trade for Josh Jacobs. I don't want to trade for Austin Eckler. Even DeAndre Swift. It's like, do I really want to pay a top 10 running back or running back cost for DeAndre Swift?
You want to know what the running back market is right now?
A bubble?
It's fucking bullshit.
Okay.
It is bullshit.
Complete bullshit. These numbers, right? I mean, let me see if I can pull up on the screen. These numbers don't make sense.
No.
They don't make sense. I don't think anyone that has Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley is like, yes, gonna trade him for Kenneth Walker. Like, no fucking way. I struggle to find that James Cooks of the worlds are higher than freaking Alvin Kamara's, right? Like,
that part's crazy. The Kenneth Walker one, I mean, I don't have Saquon. I think it would be. I have McCaffrey. Like, I'd lean McCaffrey, but I don't think it's like a crazy thought to trade him for Kenneth Walker.
See, I kind of disagree with you. There are some running backs in this.
I mean, I'm
like,
the highest
okay,
on the
these
podcast
running backs
on
are
Kenneth
actually
Walker.
good. Like, we've seen it with our own eyes that they can play. Like, I like a decent amount of those. But we get into the speculation tier where it's like these guys have had half of a good season.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And they're ranked, they're valued at like these wild, like early mid-second valuations. No fucking shot.
No, it's like, I don't know. Are you taking guys like Isaiah Pacheco and Rachaad White over Aaron Jones, or like, I don't know, or Kamara, David Montgomery?
I will say, like, Frank's part about the cliff. Like, I do see the cliff coming for those guys, but I'm not going to then turn and say, well,
yeah, but
I
those
feel more comfortable with Rachaad
like,
White and Tyler Algier. Like, yeah, I'm not going to go move onto those guys instead.
Well, what's the percentage chance of these guys hitting? Right, it's probably like 1 in 5, 1 in 6. That
depends on the one. I think James Cook is
stud Muffin McGee.
I think James Cook is like a tier below the other two guys, Rachaad White and Tyler Algier. So his chances I'd put significantly worse. I'd probably feel best in Rachaad White because at least he looks like he can maybe be like a third down receiving back. But they're like, none of those guys I really feel have like any faith or confidence in.
See, that's everyone though. Everyone has their one of them that they like, and they're just not great on the other ones. And the one guy that you like, you're like, hell yeah, I'd pay a mid-second for him, an early second. And that's how we end up with this bullshit, where it's like all of them are at the mid to early second.
Yeah, no, thank you. We talked about this last week, though. We don't have to keep going into it.
Sorry. Any other, like, okay, like, is there any other guys? Like, Darren Waller, I thought was interesting. You said that you would give up that.
I like buying him
I'd give up 209 for Darren Waller.
Yeah, he got injured a lot for this season, but like he came back at the end of the year and he was productive those last few games he played.
I mean, look,
and early in the year.
I would rather pay up the little extra more to get David Njoku, who I think is like 205 on keep trade cut. It looked like he was roughly around. I would assume you might have to give up even a little more than that, but I don't necessarily hate that for David Njoku. But otherwise, I just don't think you're getting one of those quote unquote like difference making tight ends, like one of those that he's going to be plug and play, than Darren Waller for that price. I just, you are kind of dealing with the injury risk, but I mean, you're kind of dealing with that with everyone. It's football.
I think it's more of just like the falling off the face of the earth risk. But I agree with you. If you're a contender, shopping off your late second, your 24 second for Waller, it's just a good high upside move.
Because I mean, with someone like him, it's not so much based off like last season. Like I said, he came back at the end of the year and he was productive. It's even in like limited snaps in some of those games when he came back, he was only playing like 50% of the snaps because he was limited of his hamstring. I don't think it's something where like he's washed like when he plays talent wise. I think you're more so worried like, oh, is he getting older and he's just going to break down and he's going to be injured. But when he's on the field, like at least, I mean, I have him in a league where like I'm a contender. If he's fully healthy, I feel very comfortable playing him. And like would expect usually like top 10. I'd actually, that's not really saying anything, but expect like good production out of my tight end spot.
No,
it's just more so like I'm terrified he's going to get injured any single play.
Let me rehash some guys though really quickly, because I think we kind of consensus agree that if you're a contending team looking to add depth to your roster, you can shop off these very late second round picks for guys that are going to score points at their position. Right? We've named basically a bunch of guys at every position, from James Conner to, Matt Stafford and Ryan Tannehill to Brandon Cooks to now Darren Waller. What about more back into the speculation tier, but a little bit higher up the list? Darnell Mooney, Jacoby Myers, Cortland Sutton, Elijah Moore.
These are the interesting names.
I would
Moore.
I would take a flyer on Elijah Moore for sure.
Yeah.
I just think he's shown he's very talented, and that Jets offense last year was a disaster between Flacco, Mike White, and Zach Wilson. I think if they stay, it looks like the Jets are going to get a veteran, whether that's Carr.
It looks like it's going to be Carr or
G,
Rodgers.
or Rodgers. Like any of those guys, this guy's going to get targets, and if he's that low, I just think you got to make at least an effort to try to see if you can get him. I mean, I don't.
It's actually one of my favorite buys this offseason.
The issue I have is that I just don't think that price is accurate, right? Just because people who have him likely had him as a rookie, loved him, kept him. Now his value's in the trash, and they're hoping it's going to go back up. So they're never going to trade at this low price here. But if you can get him at that price, absolutely.
Yeah.
You may have to show up more of a.
Is in startup drafts. I think that's where you'll really find good value in Elijah Moore, because I agree with you. People who had him his rookie season are probably still. It's going to take more, but I'm with you. I'm big into buying Elijah Moore this offseason.
All right.
So someone that I want to buy.
Hold on. Let's play a game.
Let's do it.
I don't know if you two are actually part of your word, but I'm going to put you to test. I have Elijah Moore in the second, third, and 20.
Okay.
Make me an offer.
Sure. I sometimes mix up the two leagues teams, so I have to look at my team on that one. But yeah, I'll make you an offer. Yeah.
213.
213 for Elijah Moore. I think he's worth more than 213. But let's see what you have, Jake.
Wait, what pick do I have in that rookie draft for second?
I don't know. I think you're
Frank,
you
do you want
to
pull up the second, third, and 20 league, please? Lounis, you have picks 201, 204, 104, 304. Keep in mind this is a 14-team league, so 204 is actually like 206.
206.
What's it called? Second, third, and 20? Where is it? There it is.
Give you Dan Arnold, and I'm just kidding. Shop for JT Baker for Elijah Moore.
Lounis, I'll give you Elijah Moore for 206 right now. 204, but 206.
Would you take Baker? That's your guy.
Baker is my guy, but I think he's worth less than.
Yeah, I do too. That's what I want. 206 for Elijah Moore. You know what? I think
Hold on.
Oh,
I think I would accept it.
Jake's trying in.
Jake's trying to get it.
Hold on.
JT, how would you feel?
I'll give you Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel and 313.
No, fuck you, Jake.
I like 204 better.
Oh, motherfucker.
Send it over.
Lounis, you gonna accept my trade, or can I start offering all to other people?
Oh wait, no, I actually like this deal. I completely forgot about it for months.
Yeah, I know.
No, I do like that deal. Wait, what was it again?
All right, I sent the trade over, Lounis.
Oh, deal. I'll accept both of these. Fuck it. Let's just do it.
What are they?
What trade's going down?
What's Frank's trade?
I'm in on the Jets. I just.
All right, I guess we got some live
Holy
pod trades. I'll throw them on the screen.
Oh wow. Wow.
So it's Breece Hall for Javonte 20. What is that going to be?
213. Or no, it's the 13th pick in the draft. Or no, 15th.
It's the 15th pick. In the
So
draft.
what is? Help me out. 203.
Plus,
Yeah,
203.
203 and whatever the hell that fourth round pick is. Like pick bajillion.
It's like you add.
It's like pick 60 or something.
Yeah.
And then we've got Elijah Moore for 206. We just had it get done. So
You rat scallion sneaking in there and snatching Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way,
all right, but you've just seen it can be done, because I'm like, do I like Elijah Moore? I think he's fine. Like, I definitely think it could have been like a Brandon Ayuk, doghouse situation, right? But there was also some stuff I saw from Elijah Moore that I did not like a whole lot last year. So I'd rather just flip it again for 206 that I now have, and there's some good players around there. Skull was saying that was cool, just got notification. I'm interested to see, Skull, who you think won each trade. Jefferson and Deontay are my number 1 and number 2. You're talking about your wide receivers.
I think Frank won the running back trade and Lounis won the Moore trade. So
see, what's funny was I thought people would say the opposite.
No, you gave up way too much.
Well.
You gave up way too much for Breece Hall, Lounis.
He's the RB1 in Dynasty.
You got running back 7 in Dynasty. It's not like you went that far.
Devontae's risky right now.
So is Breece Hall. They're both coming off the same injury.
All right, hold on. We talked about the same trade already on the other podcast. Weeks ago. Darnell Mooney for this 209. I actually like this.
I don't mind
getting Darnell Mooney for 209.
Yeah, I kind of like it too.
Same.
I wish I had Darnell Mooney to give you guys for 209.
I'm curious
if I would.
I mean, listen, if I could get anything else on top, I would love to, but I think it's a relatively fair trade straight up. I think now what I'm curious about is that worth, or would you rather have what's it called, like Cooks in a 4th instead of just Mooney? To say fuck the
Cooks
upside.
In the 4th. Cooks in the 4th over Mooney.
It's real close.
I think that it is really close. Where I think the deciding factor would be what point my team is at. Like in terms of just like if I know my team isn't going to win the championship this year, I might just roll the dice on Mooney because he's younger, and I'm just. But if I need production, the Bears are probably going to bring in a receiver. They brought in Claypool. I'd give Mooney the edge over Clay. I don't even know which one I like.
I think Mooney's got. I think he kind of showed last season he has the edge over Claypool.
He did, but Claypool got
mid-season.
I want to see him with like a full training camp.
I feel like they had a clear plan where they brought in Claypool to be that vertical guy, that vertical ball winner. They have Mooney kind of as their all-around / slot dude, right? That dude that you kind of hide in your stacks and whatnot. And then they have the option to bring in whatever other receiver they want, whether it's a JSN, whether it's, I mean, the world is their oyster because they have that first overall pick. I mean, they can get an army of picks. They can get any player in the league they basically want that's not a quarterback. Like, they're juiced. So I just think that them bringing in a receiver, if that gets them to throw the ball at an average league rate, I don't think that's a fucking problem.
No, I don't think so either. And I mean, you expect Fields to take the next step next year as a passer. At least you'd hope.
But that's also interesting. Like, what if they don't bring in a receiver as early as people expect them to, and they do just stay run merchant?
Roll with those two. I think it's going to be interesting. I think Justin Fields is one of the most interesting players for like not just like next season, but this offseason and next season. I do think they end up keeping him. And I think that would be the right decision and trade that number 1 pick for a haul. But this GM and coach didn't draft him.
He's shown enough. I just think he's shown enough to warrant the absolute. Like the thing is, though,
he gets you a good return if you traded him and you were in.
Yeah, but he doesn't get the same return. He doesn't get the same return as that first overall pick does.
Sure, he doesn't. But if you're the Bears, and
that's the thing.
You think Bryce Young's on a different tier than Justin Fields. Again, I'm saying I wouldn't do it. I would keep Justin Fields. I'm going to play
devil's advocate here, right? And just say you keep Justin Fields, you trade him for 3 first-round picks or whatever you're going to get for him. And then if you ever want to trade up for a quarterback, guess what? You're the team that now has the 3 first-round picks to trade up. Yeah. And, listen, you have Archie Manning coming eventually. Like, you have all these other...
Tank for Arch Manning.
Tank for Arch Manning, baby.
If you're the Bears, you're never going to be in that position again.
Isn't he going to be isn't he not draft eligible for another 3 years from now?
Yeah, the 3-year tank for Arch Manning.
3 years. Set it up now. Even if you want to go Quinn Ewers, I don't care.
I easily just said Caleb Williams.
Nope. I'm going long haul.
I don't know
haul,
how
baby.
this has devolved into this, but look, I would argue the Bears should take Bryce Young at 101 and trade Justin Fields. I just think he is better.
I would keep Fields, but I don't think that thought is crazy. Like, if they think Bryce Young is just has a much higher ceiling as a passer.
Would you trade Justin Fields for just a random 2024 first round pick?
No.
Like if I'm the Bears or just like in Dynasty?
If you're the Bears.
Oh, no.
No.
You wouldn't give him up for that?
No.
No.
Perfect. Everyone's saying no. That means he's worth more than that. I'll give up Fields, who's 2 years into his contract already. I'll pick up multiple firsts, and I'll just take the quarterback.
I don't think you get multiple firsts. You're not going to get
a first and a second.
You'll get like a first and a second. Yeah.
I'll take that. I'll take the quarterback who's on a rookie
I think
deal.
you can get
2 years
multiple
more.
firsts.
You might be able to.
All right, multiple firsts. Sure, give me more firsts. I don't care. You guys are helping my argument. I'll trade Justin Fields for multiple firsts. I'll take the quarterback who's got 2 years longer on his rookie deal, who I think probably is going to be better than Justin Fields. I mean, like, keep in mind, they were literally hiding Justin Fields for like the first month and a half. Like, they threw the ball like 10, 15 times a game. He just happened to like break off a bunch of runs with his legs and stuff and make things happen. So he looks better. I was the Justin Fields guy. But when you're giving me Bryce Young here at 101, I gotta take Bryce Young. I just have what should be better quarterback on a better deal, and I'm gonna, I don't know, pick up assets.
I'm not gonna hate on that line of thinking. I don't think that's like, if they decide to do it, I won't even hate on it then. I think because it's a tough decision for me. I think though I'm trading 101, and if Justin Fields doesn't take a step up this year, they're gonna have a pretty bad record anyway. And I think with those extra picks, you'll be able to trade up for Caleb Williams. You go from there.
All right, let's move on. We already talked about this segment.
Moving on.
We have another Daniel Jeremiah mock draft. On the screen is where all the dynasty relevant players went in the mock draft. So I'm assuming there was no trades here. So we have 102 Bryce Young, 104 CJ Stroud. Bryce Young went to Houston, CJ Stroud to the Colts. 7th pick, Will Levis to the Raiders. 12. I mean, Houston's just the receiver team. It's just freaking receiver roulette, which where they land here at 12. This one, they have Jordan Addison going at 12 to the Houston Texans. At the 15th pick, there's Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, going to Green Bay. That's pretty freaking crazy. 18th pick, Anthony Richardson to Detroit. 19th pick, Bijan to Tampa Bay. 20th pick, Jackson Smith-Njigba to Seattle. 21, Quentin Johnston to the Chargers. 25, Jalen Hyatt to the Giants. 28, Michael Mayer to the Bengals. And 29, Zay Flowers to the New Orleans Saints. That's all of the dynasty relevant players in the first round.
Zay Flowers and Chris Olave would be a nice little duo for years to come.
I just don't. First things first. Dalton Kincaid. Listen, I think he's a good player, but 15th pick in the draft would be pretty fucking absurd.
Yeah.
Dalton Kincaid going there reminds me of like the 2010 draft when like Jermaine Gresham went in the first round, and then you had like Gronk and someone else went in the second round. I forget who else, but
Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, maybe. No, Jimmy Graham was before then, I think. But anyway, I just think like teams value tight ends weirdly. I personally think Musgrave and Darnell Washington are just better than Kincaid. And in my opinion, Darnell Washington's better than Michael Mayer too. Mayer, however you say it. So that's one, the tight end landscape. Two, the quarterbacks. I mean, drafting Anthony Richardson, I just think Jared Goff's better. I think Jared Goff is better.
I agree with you there. I mean, listen, people are going to fall all over the place with Anthony Richardson. There's going to be people saying he's the next Mahomes. There's going to be people saying he should not even be drafted. I know me and you, JT, are more on the anti-Anthony Richardson train. Anthony Richardson aside, though, man, the more I look into this QB class, I feel like it's just a little expensive. I feel like it's in these rookie drafts, it's just a little bit. Every single guy, I feel like I have to pay just a little bit too much for. Like Will Levis, I really don't love Will Levis. If he's that high first round pick, yeah, I would take him in. Especially if I needed a quarterback at that late first round, right? I would scoop him up there, but you probably have to take him in the middle of the first. Anthony Richardson, okay, if he is going in the first round. Yeah, he might be a guy that if he goes after, probably RB1 and 2, what I think are the top 2 quarterbacks, after a receiver or 2, fine. But if this first round draft capital is confirmed, all of a sudden Anthony Richardson's going to probably be a lock for a top 6 pick. And yeah, I'm not going to be taking him in the top 6. I'll see you later. CJ Stroud.
I just think just to hit on that, I agree with you, Frank. I think if Will Levis and Anthony Richardson do get that top 15, 18 capital, it pretty much locks them into a top 6
They're going to.
rookie pick. Right. So if that happens, if you own one of these picks, 4, 5, 6 that are these prime ranges for a Will Levis or an Anthony Richardson, that gives you a lot of ammo to just trade back, right? That means someone that wants a quarterback, the Lounis of your league, are going to say, I want Anthony Richardson. And you're going to go, okay, I'll swap back to your pick 8 or 9 or whatever it is, and you give me a first-round pick next year, and you're on your fucking way, and everyone's happy.
JT, are you finally starting to see that?
If you could do that, I completely agree.
Are you starting to finally see that Richardson's going? I don't think he's falling past 18.
It appears that way, Lotus.
Well, I
hope you're happy with yourself.
Yeah,
I hope you're happy.
I said it. What, a month ago?
I think he'll be taken high. Do I think it's a good pick? No, I think it's an awful pick, but I think he'll go high.
I actually don't mind this landing spot in Detroit because I think this is exactly what. Yeah, he gets to sit behind a guy that's an established guy, been to a Super Bowl, respected quarterback in the league, even though he's a mid quarterback. Like it's just a lot of learning.
And I mean, you guys know my sense. If he plays as a rookie, he'll struggle. I think the whole thing with Richardson for me has been I think he's the most physically talented quarterback in the draft, and I think it's like stuff that can be cleaned up. And I think he should sit for a year, and then he's going to become a really good player. That's been my stance. I don't think he's going to come out the gate like just becoming like a beast.
Oh, there's no shot. No chance he comes out the gate being like
now,
a beast.
Okay. The other thing I want to get into outside of, I think a lot of these quarterbacks are just right now, and when draft time comes, just a little bit too expensive for me to be smashing any of them. This would be very favorable for the receivers, where there was a blip in the offseason. A lot of people were shitting on this receiver class. It seems to be gaining a lot of traction again with guys like Jalen Hyatt kind of gaining a train. He's kind of now a consensus first round pick in these mock drafts. And I've seen him go a lot higher than this 25th pick in the draft to the Giants, right? We've definitely seen it in recent years with these very speedster receivers. NFL loves speed. It's clearly highly valued, where we see these Marquez Valdes-Scantlings not put up the crazy numbers, but be really coveted in these classes. Teams are going to want that. Zay Flowers now seems to be a consensus first-round pick. We've seen Jackson Smith and Jigba, Addison, and Quentin Johnston fall all over the place. It seems like those dudes are now all, for the most part, also landing in the first. So it feels like we're almost guaranteed to get 4 receivers in the first with the expectation of 5.
The pinned tweet on Keep Trade Cut, I don't know if when you're showing it, I don't know if you could see the pinned tweet, but it's at Dynasty_IM tweeted out. There's been 17 wide receivers selected in the first round since 2020. 13 of them are top 30 wide receivers on Keep Trade Cut. I mean, Henry Ruggs is going to be one of them. That isn't Jalen Reagor, I think, would be another. Maybe Judy slipped outside the top 30.
No, he's in the top 30.
Yeah, he's 19. All right. Where I was going with that, though, is I think out of this class, I would see Hyatt as the one that is not going to be a top 30.
I like Hyatt. I actually.
Yeah, well, he profiles kind of like a Deshaun Jackson, and you're.
I'm not gonna. Okay, this is kind of like early because I need to watch more. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time the draft comes, I have him ahead of Quentin Johnson.
I'd expect nothing less from you, Lounis. That is exactly what I would think you'd say.
I like Hyatt as well.
I like
I like Hyatt as much as the next guy, but over Quentin Johnson, no, thank you.
He's gonna be a better NFL
Quentin Johnson's
receiver,
just as
whatever that
fast.
means. No, I'm
He's
saying
gonna run just as fast.
Jalen Hyatt's going to be a better NFL wide receiver than he is going to be fantasy wide receiver, right? Which I just mean, like, he takes the top off defense. He's not scoring you fantasy points. And people are going to be like, oh, but he's necessary because then you don't have the safety help, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. He's not going to score you fantasy points. So I don't care. Like, he'll have, like, the big, the big boom bust weeks like a Gabe Davis, but he's not going to get more than, like, 4 targets a game. He's not going to, I don't know. Score your ton.
The Chargers are just like, we need speed on the outside.
Oh, get Quinn Johnston.
What's that?
He's just a better Mike Williams.
I feel like Jalen Hyatt is what you want Mecole Hardman to be. Jalen Hyatt, at least from what I've seen, he's a guy that can catch the ball in traffic a lot better than I think Hardman can. And I don't know. I just like him. I like him more because his price in these dynasty drafts, man. I feel like Jalen Hyatt is the consensus receiver that everyone hates.
Yeah, but if he is pick one, well, that was Henry Ruggs, and we saw how that, I mean, even without the whole drunk driving incident or whatever happened there.
I don't know
even
about
then,
that.
He was
Henry
the one that
Ruggs is
everyone
ADP.
hated.
First off, he was like the wide receiver 1 in that draft. So like that shot, he was always a first round pick. He was going over T. Higgins, over Ayuk, over Mims. Like over all these dudes.
Sure, but he was behind Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, he was behind those guys pretty, and that's going to be the same thing with Jalen Hyatt. Like he might be the first wide receiver taken in this draft, but people are still going to have him behind JSN and Quinn Johnston.
I don't know what his peak rating was, but he was trying to move.
I don't think if he's the first wide receiver taken in the NFL draft, he's not going to be behind Zay Flowers in Dynasty rookie drafts.
I think it'll be close.
That would be Henry Ruggs versus like T. Higgins / Brandon Ayuk. I'd rather have the Zay Flowers than the Jalen Hyatt.
We all know how I feel about Zay Flowers, so I'm not going to comment.
Yeah. Keep in mind, steal for me, getting him at 212. Yeah, wait, we're talking about this. We did a mock draft a month ago where Jalen Hyatt was not getting this buzz, and you took him at 204. I took Zay Flowers at 212.
Yeah, that was before I watched Zay Flowers and fell in love with the guy.
Well, no, I'm talking to Frank. Frank took Jalen Hyatt at 204. I took Zay Flowers at 212. So, can't be that much. That many people are so far ahead of that have Zay Flowers so far ahead of Jalen Hyatt.
I'm just going off of what I've seen on Twitter. And the hype that players are receiving. I think that I haven't really seen anyone be like, oh, you know what? I hate that Zay Flowers guy.
Yeah, that might be true.
I've just seen like Jalen Hyatt is, and listen, I don't completely disagree with people, but having him as like the wide receiver 5 or 6 in this class to me is just a bit crazy. And especially with some of these running backs I see going before him. Now that'll change at least from what I view when the NFL draft, where some of these dudes get picked in the 4th and 5th round. And, it's like, everyone's like, holy shit, what the fuck? What happened last night? It's like, yeah, maybe some of these guys are pretty trash. Like,
I think I might have Jalen Hyatt as like the 6th or 7th wide receiver. I'm trying to think of all the wide
6
receivers.
or 7.
Yeah, because all right, you've got Quinn Johnston, obviously, JSN,
I know the
Addison. Then I'd take Zay Flowers, Josh Downs, Marvin Mims, maybe Kayshawn, maybe Parker Washington. Those are in my conversation before I take Jalen Hyatt. You're muted, Jake.
Jake.
I'll pretend like you're agreeing with me and saying I was smart, though.
No, I wasn't.
Oh.
I have him low, but about 5, probably 5 or 6.
Yeah, I don't know. Regardless of whether his placement is amongst these other receivers, he's, to me, going at that very late first, very early second, and I will scoop up Zay Flowers, I will scoop up Hyatt, I'll scoop up Josh Downs. All 3 of them, I like taking them at that spot. And I just feel like Hyatt is the guy I'm ending up with more times than not, because I've seen a lot of people like Flowers and Downs more so than high. Yeah, the NFL draft will change stuff. If he's the first receiver taken, a lot of people are just going to follow the NFL, and that'll switch things up. How many running backs go in the first and second round of the NFL draft? I was thinking 4. I think 5 or 6. I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic than you because
I think Bijan's the only first round running back.
Bijan, Gibbs. Now, this is where Frank opinion comes in heavily. Charbonnet, A-Chain, and I just think we get one more, like a Kendre Miller sneaks in. I mean, there's like a whole slew of guys that potentially could. Like, I know a lot of people like that Israel Abanabadabada dude. I don't know. Yeah. Like there's Tank Bigsby who could. I mean, there's a whole slew of dudes that.
I mean, historically,
Sean
it looks
Tucker, like in terms of dynasty ADP, would be there. Tyjae Spears.
Historically, it looks like 3 is the number you see. 3 to 4. So yeah, you're right there.
I can check how many I have graded in there. I think I have 5 graded in there because I think I have Tyjae more in the 3rd, but Kendre Miller more in the 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, all right. Going back to 2015, there was 4 in 2015, 2 in 2016, 4 in 2017, like 6 in 2018, 2 in 2019, 5 in 2020. Actually, no, 6 in 2020. Only 2 in 2021, and 3 last year.
So put my money on 5.
5. All right. Well, then the only class I had higher or 2 classes were 2020 and 2018.
I think that's about right.
Kind of similar draft classes where there was like big booms and then also big busts. Like 2018 was Saquon and Nick Chubb were in there. And then 2020 was obviously the Jonathan Taylor Swift year. But then you also had like CH in 2020. You had Ronald Jones in 2018, Rashad Penny in 2018. Who he's coming back. I would say 4. Charbonnet is my RB3. Reminds me of Matt Forte. I'm so hot and cold on Charbonnet. I was so into him last year.
Charbonnet? He was decently high. I remember I forgot the account Ryan, I'm forgetting his last name off the top of my head, who tweets
Ryan
always
McDowell.
Yeah. Charbonnet was kind of one of the higher rookies in startup drafts recently.
He would have been my RB2 if he came out last year behind Breece Hall.
I think he's my RB4 right now because I have A-Chain ahead of him. But I mean, I think he's a lot safer than A-Chain is. I don't know. I think Charbonnet, in my opinion, he's just a lock to get day 2 draft capital. He fits basically like every system, no matter what the fuck you want to do. He can catch the ball. He's even better in space than he is in between the tackles. Like, It's funny. I think in between the tackles is one of his weaknesses, right? Like, he doesn't make people miss in a phone booth. He just shoves his shoulder directly into their Adam's apple, which, like, listen, I don't really hate. Like, he's a big ass dude. He can do it. Like, but to me, that's what keeps him out of being like one of those top end guys. But you give him the ball in space, and he's got good hands. He can make people miss.
Can you repeat, Frank, who you had as your top, as your 5 first round running backs?
Well, I actually looked at my Kendre Miller, and I have him going in the early 3rd of the NFL draft. So, like, if we're going off of my legitimate predictions, it would be 4. But I want to say 5 because running back hype. Let's fucking go, baby! Dynasty season. But the 4 that I have with it are Jahmyr Gibbs, A-Chain, Charbonnet. I haven't watched Bijan yet, but I'm gonna imagine that I'll have a top 2 round grade on him.
And he's almost a lock to go top 2. Okay, but so I just pulled up all of their NFL mock draft database, whatever you call it, history, I guess. And we have Bijan is like a lock. They have him going like 15th is his overall rank. Consensus 26th, but it seems like he's going in the first round according to these, mock drafts. Zach Charbonnet barely sneaking in the second round. They have him as 64th overall. Jahmyr Gibbs 30th overall, so he could sneak into the first round, maybe second round. And Etienne is 58th overall. So it looks like you are in agreement with most.
Where do they have
draft.
Kendre going?
Let's see. You want to take a bet or like a guess?
I'm gonna go with 72.
I was gonna say 98. Kendre Miller mock draft, NFL mock draft database, 115th.
Oh,
Okay, so they're decently
He's a
lower on
projected
Kendre
fourth
Miller
rounder.
than I am. Sorry, now I'm curious. What about Tyjae Spears and Sean Tucker?
Okay,
They're gonna
Tyjae
retire.
Spears.
I have
Let's take.
80 for Tyjae.
I'm gonna say pick 147. Anyone want to join this? No. All right. 106.
So say it again. Who?
106
What
for
was you gonna
Tyjae
say, Tim?
Spears. I
Okay,
guess
so it's like a-
147.
it's like an early fourth. No, it might be a third.
Yeah, it's.
Depending
I think
on
it
comp.
depends on how many comp picks you got. I think
Yeah.
it'll end up as an early 4 though.
Yeah. And Sean Tucker 102nd. You're telling me Sean Tucker's only 4 picks better than Tyjae
And where do
Spears?
they have Zach Evans going?
That's a good question. I'm interested.
I would guess he's probably like 90,
Because I'd have him at like 130, 120.
75th.
Yeah.
Okay,
So they
yeah,
have
so like,
1, 2. I mean, these are
yeah,
just running
like
backs. they
okay, so
need.
where I differ from I guess consensus is I would kind of swap Kendre Miller and Zach Evans, and then boost up Tyjae. That's really it. I think everything else I kind of in relative agreement with. Oh, and I'd probably boost up Charbonnet a handful of picks.
Yeah, it's very rare third rounder hits. Gibson and Monty were good third rounders.
I mean, you know, Kamara was a third rounder. Aaron Jones was
Kareem
a third
Hunt.
rounder. Kareem Hunt, like
Would Brian Robinson be considered a hit? I don't know. Like,
no, not technically,
Ooh.
but I mean that kind of goes back into the discussion of like, okay, if we're looking at guys that have upgraded their value at some point in time, it's been a good amount of them.
yeah,
James
wait.
Conner hit.
Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, James Conner. I'm going through.
That was
just
5
happen to
years
still have
ago.
it.
Yeah, but the thing is that like, I'm gonna make the argument outside 2019, 2021, and 2022. I think for the most part were pretty crappy running back classes. All things
Yeah, I mean,
considered.
we also like of the third rounders, right? There was 3 drafted last year in the third round. There was 1 drafted the year prior in 2021. That's Trey Sermon. There was only 3 in 2020. There was only 4 in 2019. 1 in 2018. Like we're picking from a small pool, and to have Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, James Conner all from the 2017 pool. That's 3 of the 4 running backs from the 2017 pool were hits. 2016 only had 1.
I would
2015
venture to say, because I know we looked at that range of 4th round running backs from like pick 110 to 130, and the average hit rate for those guys was roughly like 20-ish%. I think slightly higher than 20% since like year 2000. I'd imagine for the third rounders, it's obviously going to be higher than that, but what, like high 20s, low 30s chance that they are at least like decent.
That sounds. What do you consider decent?
Yeah, I mean, where you draw the cutoff is where it's going
Yeah.
to actually determine it. Like, okay, yeah, panning out long term, I draft them, I hold them, am I happy? Probably more in the 20s.
Yeah.
If it's
'Cause
like, they like at least have one season where it's like, hey, yes, I was proud of this draft pick, like 30%, a third of them, maybe.
Where you're happy with the draft pick? Yeah, that
At
sounds.
some point in history, you're happy with the draft pick. Does that count, Trey Sermon? You know, in that offseason, he was getting hype, and then
I was
after
gonna say,
that,
yeah,
it's just been
you
a
were happy
downhill
right after-
steadiness.
right- only right after the pick, and then never again after,
Yeah.
until the regular season
Is this
started.
the next 2017? That would be sweet. I think that this is I don't know if that's
to say that is
2017 is a crazy running back draft.
I just think that there's a lot of potentially good, serviceable running backs.
How do you stack it up against the 2015 class? 2015 class had Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon, T.J. Yeldon, Amir Abdullah, Tevin Coleman, Duke Johnson, David Johnson.
I could see
that was and Matt Jones
slightly better.
Pick.
I give this draft class the edge over that year. But 2017 is like,
I think that class's ceilings, dude, Amir Abdullah, people were saying was like, oh, this guy should be like the next Reggie Bush, like not that crazy, obviously, but he was getting a ton of hype if you remember.
Didn't David Johnson and Todd Gurley put up RB1 overall years?
And they did.
David Johnson had that 1 year where he was like the RB1, and then
he did though have a couple good years.
He had like decent years, but like that was the year that people really hung their hat on for a long time.
He had like 18 touchdowns or something. It was like
he had more than that, I think.
You got 3 RB1 overall seasons from that 2015 class.
I think at the time too, people were considering like a lot of those guys, like Amir. There was a lot more people that were saying like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be a fucking stud. I feel like this year it's more so, okay, you have your 2 studs in Gibbs and Bijan, and then all these other guys. It's like, yeah, well, they're not gonna be necessarily amazing, but they're not bad either. Like they're better than there's just like a whole slew of like Ramondre Stevensons.
Yeah,
like
it's a whole bunch of them.
You know, you got like just combine all of like the 3rd and 4th round picks from like the previous 2 classes, and that's what you have this year. You just have like a shit fuck of them.
Yeah, you're right. I think.
Sorry, thoughts on Roschon Johnson? I like him when I watch Texas. Yeah, so I agree with you. I like Roschon when he plays. Now I haven't done my full-in analysis on him. I have seen some respected running back guys that I like kind of say that he's just like a tunnel merchant, kind of just like a truck dude. Like I see hole, I run into hole as hard as I can, and then I repeat. Like what's his name? Like Tyrion Davis Price. But
TDB.
I haven't watched him enough to confirm nor deny those. I thought he would be gaining a little bit more hype about now, but
you took him at 210 in our mock a month ago.
Yeah, and I would be heavily regretting that pick right about now.
I was gonna say
yeah, that I could justify taking Anthony Richardson over. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but there's a lot of running backs that people like, and just historically looking back, like you're not gonna get more than like 2 or 3 good running backs from a class.
Yeah, I just think that you have a couple more this year, at least that are serviceable, some Tevin Coleman type of guys. I feel like in a lot of drafts, we've seen a lot of either straight up hit or miss. We haven't seen a lot of these, like, outside of, like, A.J. Dillon, the A.J. Dillons, where it's like, okay, they're not, like, amazing, but they're not horrible either.
Do you think you'd be happy if you took Tevin Coleman at, like, a 204 in your draft?
Yes. He had, I think he went out. Yeah. Yeah. Knowing what his career was,
2 good years.
He had 2 good years, I believe.
I don't think it's necessarily binary happy or sad, because I think you look at the value of a 204, what can you trade that for?
He had 1 year where he was top 16.
Because I just think, like, you look at the receiver market, can I get 2 top 24 seasons for 204 in most draft classes? Probably, right? Probably.
Maybe. I don't know. Because again, you're talking about trade. We just did this segment today where it's just like you're going to end up trading 204 for probably a not super young player here. So you're talking about a guy on the other half of his career that you're going to say, okay, I think he's still getting those 2 top 24 seasons. Tevin Coleman had 3 top 24 seasons in his career during a stretch in a row where he had 2016, 17, and 18. He was PPR running like 17, 22, 18.
Plus, so, like any weeks that the Freeman or whoever he was playing with was hurt, he was kind of launched into RB1 status.
Right. Yeah. So like for that, I would say you're probably happy with taking him at 204, and I just don't think you're going to really trade him. So sure, you could trade him for a Tyler Lockett at this point in his career. He might have another top 24 season. Sure. Is he going to have 3? I don't know.
Yeah, you swayed me. I'll give you that. Yeah, you're happy. I think you're happy. I think you're happy with any second round pick. That type of return, you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like all things considered.
I don't know. Yeah. There was nothing really to build on off that. I was just curious as to what exactly we should be expecting from there.
Well, no, that's a fair point, because that almost like, okay, if you project some of these running backs, like, okay, we get outside the first round, we start having to pick between third round or maybe very late second round receivers and a Tevin Coleman-y kind of running back prospect. Well, how do you value that type of player? I think now I value it a little bit more favorably than I would have 20 minutes ago.
It makes you wonder about the Zach Charbonnets, the Kendrick Miller stuff.
Kendrick Miller is a guy that I find very interesting because I think athleticism, like the combine, actually, the combine is going to be crazy this year. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, because that's going to separate a lot of these running backs from: are you trash? Do you have upside? I think it's big for
the receivers.
And I think the 40 times for the receivers, just because this is a relatively undersized class, and there's a lot of dudes expected to run pretty fucking fast.
We are exactly 1 week away from combine.
I mean, I've seen like the average time for these dudes is 4.4 now. And also, are we going to get the Fugazi 40 times again? The 39-yard dash from like a year or two ago. You remember that?
Yeah. They're back at
running 4.4.
They're back at Lucas Oil where I don't know, they say the turf is fast or something like that.
I just love that, the 39-yard dash. Like
I love when people say the turf is fast. The turf is fast, guys.
No, that's legit though. That like I actually think that's a thing. Yeah, fast turf. Like,
no, it is a thing.
I can believe it.
I don't know.
It is a thing. Yeah.
Maybe it's just like the way. Maybe it's all placebo, and it's just like the way that you feel running on it. But like, there are definitely those fields where it's like you just feel fucking faster on it, right? Like you just feel like you're moving.
No, it's completely true.
Really cannot wait to see the running back times. Yeah, man, this is going to be one of the more interesting combines for like the raw numbers that we've seen in a while. I think a lot of times people can get carried away looking at the numbers, but this year I think it's actually going to be a determining factor on where some of these guys are going to be taken, where you should rank guy over another person.
Yeah, I think this draft is huge for it, because then also the receivers, they're going to want to see the 40 times, like whether Quentin Johnson is going to be as fast as people are thinking, what JSN ends up around, even like an Addison. Mm-hmm. And then I also think for the QBs, I think people will be interested to see how fast Stroud is. I think the biggest thing with the QBs is how big is Bryce Young?
Yeah.
How big is Bryce Young? Hooker 40 time if they run. I don't know if the quarterbacks are going to run or not. I don't know if this stuff has been announced, but yeah, Hooker and Richardson's 40 times would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Is Jackson Smith and Jigba participating in the combine?
I don't know.
He should.
I don't think
he's projected to run in the high 4.4s.
I hope he does.
If I'm JSN, I'm only doing a pro day. I'm gonna be honest with you guys.
If from an outside perspective, I want him to participate. But if I was him, I'm only running at my pro day.
No shot. I'm running at Ohio State, where I know the coaches, I know the field, I know everything. It's a controlled environment. That's what I'm doing. For a guy that's testing his big knock is his athleticism. That's what I'm running at a pro day. I'll go to the combine and I'll
to catch passes. Yeah, but that's it.
I'll go to the combine and I'll catch passes. I'll run routes. I'll take interviews. I'll do whatever you want. But I'm not running a 40 unless it's on my own turf.
No, I'm with you. I hope he does though.
So what if Quentin Johnson runs in the high 4.3s? Then what happens? Is he?
He's gonna jump.
Is it just gonna go Quentin Johnson to the moon?
Yeah.
JT, are you gonna be sad if that happens?
No, because I have him there anyway. It'll just make me feel better about where I'd be picking him if I was. what I think this combine is going to do is I think it's going to put Quinn Johnson as the solidified number 1 wide receiver in the class. He's going to get drafted like borderline top 10. And I think Darnell Washington is going to be a first-round pick after the combine.
That's fine. I'm curious about how Addison tests too, just because he's not super athletic either, but
he just has to not
be fast
up.
though. He should be fast. Like if he runs in the 4.4s, he's fine.
Yeah, exactly. If he runs in the 4.4s, he's fine, and then I'm not worried. But if that's one of those things where if he runs a 4.57 or whatever it is, I'm gonna be like, oh boy, this is gonna tank his value.
JT is taking him 101 if Quinn runs a 4.3. Well, see, there's one person that's blocking me from taking Quinn Johnson, and that is Quinn Ewers. Just kidding. Bijan. Don't you dare, Jacob. Don't you dare. It'll always be Bijan 101. He's going like 5th overall or something in startups.
Oh yeah, I know. Bijan's the clear one in this class.
I think that was one QB startups, and to be honest, I thought he'd be going higher. Like,
yeah,
it's not that surprising. Like in non-superflex startups, if you want to say he's the best running back prospects in Saquon, if you remember ours, Saquon went 101. So him going,
but that was with keepers though. So
that's true. That was with keepers. Yeah,
might still have happened. Might still have happened.
It wouldn't have been a bad
with all the damn Giants fans, like might have still happened.
Washington has no lateral movement skills. Overrated. I mean, would you really say Gronk had lateral skills? Like he's just gonna run through you. Like if you're a safety or if you're a linebacker trying to cover, like, it's just how's a linebacker going to be able to compete with Darnell Washington 1-on-1? They're just not. How's a safety going to tackle Darnell Washington in the open field? They're just not. like I don't know.
That's basically all I have to say. I think I'm running out of words here.
Same.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Well, if you
Season
guys
3,
made it this
episode
far, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next Tuesday with more shenanigans.
What day does the combine start next week?
It'll be next Tuesday. I don't know what we'll get. I don't think we'll be getting a whole lot.
As much.
Nuts. Whatever. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into the chat. We really appreciate it. Skull, Joe, everyone that shows up. We love you guys. And have a good one. Peace out.